Joshua Zirkzee. Why Man United have spent in excess of €40 million on Bologna's Ronaldinho-esque striker analysis. Manchester United transfers Joshua Zirkzee. Premier League Serie A Bologna F8 The Dutchman has completed a move to Old Trafford following the pivotal role he played in a surprise Champions League push. Marko Arnautovic's move to Inter at the start of this past season was a massive blow for Bologna. The Austrian attacker had been their talisman for 2 seasons, and it was felt his goals would be sorely missed. His supposed successor, meanwhile, didn't look up to the task of leading the line. Joshua Zirkzee had scored just 2 goals in his first season in Serie A, and there were legitimate doubts among the fans and in the press over his attitude. Not even his coach was convinced, and yet 9 months on, Thiago Motta was labeling Zirkzee a leader and compared him to one of his former Barcelona teammates. He said that his idols are Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Gabriel Paço, who are 2 excellent players, but, seeing him day to day, he reminds me of the Ronaldinho I played with at Barcelona, Motta told Sky Sport Italia. But I cannot compare him to anyone. He is just Joshua, and he is special. It's a view that was seemingly shared by scouts from Manchester United, Arsenal, AC Milan and Juventus, making Zirkzee one of the most coveted players on the transfer market this summer. It is United, however, who have won the race for the 23-year-old after agreeing to pay in excess of his €40 million, £33.5m/$43.5m, release clause. As such, Goal is here to tell you everything you need to know about the former Bayern Munich prodigy who belatedly realized his world-class potential in Bologna. Where it all began, Zirkzee was born in Schiedam, a city just west of Rotterdam, to a Nigerian mother and Dutch father who supported his dream to become a footballer from a very young age. He had no plan B, as he recently admitted in an interview with the Gazzetta dello Sport. Luckily for him, he couldn't really have been born in a better place. Indeed, when a journalist put it to him that he was a spectacular player, Zirkzee replied, "I'm just Dutch." That's probably the most accurate description. Zirkzee sees himself as a product of the Johan Cruyff courts, a street footballer, pure and simple. "I think what the United States has with basketball courts, we have in Holland with the 5-a-side pitches," he told the Gazzetta. "It makes you tough, you have to be smarter, you have to find a way to keep up with guys that are bigger and stronger than you. I learned on the streets, and that's where creativity comes to life." Given his stellar dedication in education, it didn't take long for Zirkzee's talent to attract attention from the top clubs in Netherlands, and he signed for Feyenoord in 2016, after 3 years at ADO Den Haag. He would spend less than a year with his hometown club, though. With Zirkzee making an acrimonious move to Bayern Munich, the teenage forward felt it was the right move for his development as a player, and he certainly looked set for superstardom at the Allianz Arena after scoring twice in his first 8 minutes of Bundesliga action, across games against Freiburg and Wolfsburg in December 2019. He was still only 18 years old at the time, however. Despite playing a small but significant part in Bayern's treble-winning campaign, Zirkzee was unable to truly break through in Bavaria. There was talk of a return after a fine season on loan at Anderlecht, in which he scored 16 times in 38 Belgian Pro League games, but the Bavarians instead immediately sold him to Bologna at the end of the 2021-22 campaign. The big break Bologna would prove the making of Zirkzee, but it was a slow and, at times, painful process. The original idea had been for Zirkzee to play in attack alongside Arnautovic, but the arrival of Motta as coach in September 2022 changed everything, as the former Italy international only wanted to play one up front. Arnautovic got the nod, and not just because he was the more experienced, proven player. As Zirkzee confessed to the Corriere della Sera, "I wasn't ready mentally, not like Motta wanted anyway." However, with a few clips around the year, Zirkzee came around. He spent the time spent on the bench watching Arnautovic's movement, just as he had silently studied Robert Lewandowski during each and every game and training session at Bayern. "It was a good school," he acknowledged. By the start of the 2023-24 campaign, it was clear that he had also learned some valuable lessons from Motta. From the very first day of preseason, he was the first to arrive at training, and all of the hard work reaped dividends as soon as Arnautovic left for Inter. The time came to take a step forward, he explained to the Corriere, to take on more responsibility, to demonstrate that I was ready and take advantage of the opportunity. He's done exactly that. How it's going? Zirkzee was quite open about the fact that he preferred to play in a front two and did not consider himself like-for-like replacement for Arnautovic whatsoever, but he did an incredible job spearheading the Bologna attack this past season. Indeed, with his 11 goals and 5 assists, he was one of the main reasons why a club that last played in Europe 22 years ago, in the Intertoto Cup, secured qualification for next season's Champions League, with the Rossablu eventually finishing 5th in the Serie A standings. His strike rate was hardly sensational, of course, but the reason why Zirkzee earned so many plaudits and generated so much transfer talk was his all-round game. His hold-up play was excellent, and he constantly brought teammates into the game with lovely layoffs. During one remarkable outing in a Coppa Italia win over Inter at San Siro, he turned the game with 2 incredible assists, one of which was a back heel. Biggest strengths: Bologna is famous for its 2 towers, and the city's football fans believe that they are now in possession of a third. Zirkzee is tall, strong and imposing. He is one of those forwards that looks big even when standing in between center-backs. And yet he has the touch and technique of a number 10. He plays with the flair of a player who spent hours watching YouTube compilations of Ronaldinho's vast array of tricks and flicks. Torino coach Ivan Juric admitted after a 2-0 loss to Bologna that he felt at times as if he was watching peak Zlatan in action. He's an atypical striker that manages to score a lot of goals, the Croatian said. It's a great compliment, Zirkzee replied. It's not so usual to see a tall center forward with good technique. And, without a doubt, my gift is my technique. It is the way of showing everyone my essence. It's the best way to express yourself. Creativity at the service of the team is a lethal combination. And that is why Mata absolutely adored the Dutchman. The now ex-Bologna boss is a firm believer in the idea that the striker is the first defender, and Zirkzee plays the dual role perfectly. He presses, makes plenty of tackles, and is generally just a constant thorn in the side of defenders. There are forwards who think only about goals, but not Joshua, Mata says. He has a big heart, and that makes the difference. Room for improvement: if Zirkzee moves to a bigger club, he will obviously be expected to score more goals. But he certainly has the ability to do so. He doesn't play for a prolific team and is heavily involved in Bologna's build-up play, but takes most of the big chances that come his way, 57% conversion rate. However, he's well aware that he needs to be more selfish in front of goal. I think it's the one thing I really have to work hard on. I'm not a pure center forward, he elaborated. Mata has transformed me into a 9.5. However, he says he has to remember that I am the only center forward in the team and stay more inside the area. What comes next? A lot of people in football talk about taking things one game at a time, but Zirkzee is next level, often refusing to look past Bologna's next fixture. Given the circumstances of last season, that was understandable, as the Rossablu edged towards qualifying for the Champions League for the first time. They did make one appearance in the preliminary round of the European Cup in 1964, however, Zirkzee did admit that representing his country has been a dream since he was a little kid, imitating Ronaldinho and Ibrahimovic on the streets of Schiedam, and given his impressive record at under-21 level for Netherlands, as well as his fine form in Serie A, there were calls for him to be included in Ronald Koeman's squad for Euro 2024. He was, however, left out of the Orange's preliminary squad for the summer, only to earn a call-up on the eve of the Euros after Brian Brobby suffered an injury in training that, while not tournament-ending, meant that Koeman needed more striker depth, and Zirkzee cut short a trip to Disney World in Florida to travel to Germany, though he was only on the pitch for 4 minutes across 2 minutes as the Dutch reached the semifinals. What has already become a momentous summer has only continued on that path, too, as he joins one of the biggest clubs in the world. Bayern decided against activating the buyback clause they inserted in his Bologna contract, while Milan were said to be leading the race for Zirkzee's signature, as the Rossoneri sought a replacement for MLS-bound Olivier Giroud. Juventus have also been heavily linked in recent weeks, but United's growing interest as they aim to find competition for Rasmus Højlund eventually led to them flexing their financial muscle and securing Zirkzee on a 5-year deal. Bologna, Milan, and Juve would all have been able to offer Zirkzee something United cannot in Champions League football, but after the Red Devils make their move, there was nothing the rest could do about it.